finally, we'll move on to the Q&A session, and I'll hand it over to Vinodji for the Q&A. But before that, I'll introduce our panelists. So who we have on the panel is Lieutenant General Ellen Singh, who is a retired general of the Indian Army from Manipur, and he's currently in charge of the relief activities for Seva Bharati in Manipur. And then we're also joined by Narayan Meghani, who is retired as a senior vice president of a large corporate company, and he's currently helping out with relief activities in Gujarat via Seva Bharati Gujarat. So we'll move on to the Q&A session.
Namaste, Naranji, and namaste, General Singh. Again, namaste. You can unmute yourself, Naranji. Yes. So namaste, everyone. These are two representatives with whom we have been doing a lot of talking, and they've been our troops on the ground. And General Singh, I mean, he's a general, so he knows how to marshal the troops. So he's an infantry general from the Indian Army. And Naranji, he brought entrepreneurship into Seva. And every time we had a meeting with him, it was just amazing how he brought corporate entrepreneurship into Seva and made things look so much, and he had all the knowledge. So I couldn't think of better people than the two of them on the ground. They were there and supervising, who could take our questions. So if anyone has any questions, I'll open up the chat, and feel free to send in your questions that we can take. All right. So before we wait for questions, there's some questions that came in, and so Narayanji and General Singh, I'll go with the first question. Yes. So General Singh, the first question to you, one of our viewers is: was the support from Seva Canada timely to meet the pandemic crisis in India? And maybe you can speak to Manipur in this case. And did it supplement the support from the state or the federal government?
Namaskar, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Before I answer the question, I want to thank Seva Canada and all the donors for the such a huge help which has come to the state of Manipur. I'm sure we all are aware that Manipur is the easternmost state of the country bordering Myanmar. And it's a hilly and mountainous state full of jungle. And you'll be surprised to know that 92% of the state is reserve forest, and about 1% is water bodies. So we are left with about 8% of the total state for people to occupy. Okay. So traveling is difficult, and more so for the aid and the help to come is very, very difficult. So when I contacted Vinodji and others, it was definitely very, very timely. In fact, people were taken by surprise that such a aid is possible, because it was not thinkable, and it is the first time such a thing has happened in the state of Manipur. And we are really thankful. On behalf of the people of Manipur, we would like to thank once again Seva Canada and all the donors. And you can be assured that all the items given by, including the oxygen concentrator, oximeter, IR thermometer, and other accessories which are given to us, have already been distributed to various remote areas. And the traveling itself was definitely, here being a mountainous state, quite difficult. But we have made sure that the needy people, and it was not confined only to we gave it even to the Christians and others who were really requiring some of them. So we have extended to the complete people of Manipur, and everyone is very, very thankful, and it was definitely very, very timely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Singh. And, Manipur is one state I've always wanted to go to, never been there. But for everybody on this meeting here, if you want to go to Manipur, it's a beautiful state. General Singh's your man. And
You're
okay,
most welcome to come and stay with me.
thank you, General Singh. Next question is for Narenji. Narenji, and I know since you're a subject matter expert, how does the future after wave 2 look in Gujarat, and how best to prepare for wave 3 or wave 4, and what steps is Seva Bharati Gujarat and your team doing? So what does wave 2 look like right now, and what are we expecting for wave 3 and wave 4?
First of all, thank you very much for providing me this opportunity, Seva Canada International. Today is a Yoga Day, 21st June. So I wish all of you happy Yoga Day, International Yoga Day, which started in 2015. So this is 5th year of Yoga Day, International Yoga Day. So it is a pride moment for India. Wish all of you to congratulations and happy Yoga Day. Yes, Vinodji, as you rightly asked, in Gujarat, we are preparing for wave 3. What challenges we faced during wave 2 was trained medical support manpower, doctors as well as paramedic staff. So now here in Gujarat, we have tied up with 2 big hospitals. One is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Hospital in Ahmedabad, which is run by Municipal Corporation, and another private hospital. They will train our Karyakartas, Swayamsevaks of Seva Bharati and RSS for the medical supports in coming 1 month and 2 months. So basic trainings will be provided to them. So manpower shortage will not be there, because what challenges we faced during this period is in many of the government hospitals, even though patients were on the oxygens, filling up the water in the oxygen supply pipeline was a problem. Timely filling up water in the oxygen pipeline was also important. And due to that, patients sometimes were getting dry oxygen, inhaling dry oxygen. And there were few reported deaths due to that. So we observed that. Of course, we deputed our Swayamsevaks in this government 1200 bed civil hospital. Our volunteers were deployed, and then they were taking care of this particular thing only. And their task was to look after this refilling of oxygen and operating oxygen flow meters and all these things. So this is one type of the challenge what we realize. So we should not face this type of issues in future. That is why we are now training our people also. That is one part. Another part with government organization and another social organization, we have prepared, like you have provided us 50 oxygen concentrators for Gujarat. We have distributed all across around majority of the districts in Gujarat state. But we are trying to train the people to them. As soon as Vinodji and our people from here talk to me that we are going to get oxygen concentrators, and initially many of you mentioned that oxygen concentrator was a new item for India. We are not aware of what is that. So I personally myself visited few COVID care centers in Ahmedabad and discussed with doctors how to use these oxygen concentrators, because it comes and we are not aware how to use that. So this is also a challenging part. So now we have to train our people to use these oxygen concentrators, how to put mask, how to put cannulas in the nose or nostrils. So this small things, it looks small things were very important things. So now we are going to train our volunteers for all these peoples. And yes, many places, government of Gujarat and with the help of support of government of India, they are putting up very large COVID care hospitals. Like I will give one example that Adani group is here. In Ahmedabad itself, they had put already 200 bed hospitals, which I had visited personally. I had met COVID patients also. But now they are putting 500 bed hospital with 100 bed of ICUs. So this is one example. And we had started 35 COVID care centers, isolation centers basically, where up to oxygen we were supporting. But now we are planning to put up approximately 100 COVID care centers if third wave is there. So we are gearing up for that. So on many fronts we are working on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Narayanji. And I have full confidence. I mean, having interacted with the Gujarat team, just amazing. And, we have our friends in Calgary, the Calgary Gujarat Mandal too. I mean, it's been an amazing experience. Our partners, they raised money for us too. And it's been just amazing, that the work that has happened in Gujarat. And our volunteers in Madhya Pradesh say, yeah, we got to learn from the Gujaratis. So,
Vinodji, I would like to add one thing. Vinodji, I would like to add one thing. See, immunity was the big challenge here in the community. So with Ayurvedic medicines, we had distributed to more than 120,000 families Ayurvedic medicines to boost up the immunities and many other things. So which has helped to prevent COVID enter into their house, or if it has got that they are caught by that, then they have very few and not very severe symptoms, very minor symptoms, and then they were cured at home itself.
Yeah.
So hospitalization was avoided in majority of the families where we had provided this type of Ayurvedic medicines. So our major expenses during this time was to provide this Ayurvedic medicines support.
Thank you, Narayanji. I have a question from one of our attendees, and that is, how is Seva Canada deciding which state or city or who gets how many oxygen concentrators? And considering, India is such a big and dense country, how do we do it? Very good question. Very good question, Diyaji. And first and foremost, what we have a network of organizations in India. So, and we've been working with them for so many years. The biggest challenge in humanitarian aid work is you're as good as the person on the ground. If there could be pilferage, that could be, transmission losses, all that, right? So we already have a relationship in most of these states, and we have a central office in Delhi. And there's aid pouring in from the USA, there's aid pouring from Seva in Australia, from Seva in UK, and all that. And they are kind of doing a quarterback work, and they have a dashboard, and they have a helpline, and they have information coming in from the state units and all that. So we have that information that we can work with, and they provide us, this is here. This is where the current peak is, and this kept moving because initially when we started working in Gujarat, Manipur was not on the radar. And I was talking to General Singh, and he said, we only have 9 cases here, but it's going to increase. I remember this conversation with General Singh, and lo and behold, in 2 weeks it was in three digits and in 4 digits, right? So very good question. And what we do is so we get those requirements, and we have learned a few lessons through this wave 2, that if they have 50 beds, you probably need 5 concentrators, like 10%, right? In the isolation center, you need probably 10%. We have learned that. And we also learned that don't give too many concentrators in one place, because the usage rates are not that, the efficiency of usage is not that good. So we have learned, all this is new, and all this is, so just suffice to say, we use the people on the ground to tell us what's happening. And first it was in the cities, then it moved to rural areas. So now most of our work is in the rural areas and the northeastern India, and that's where we are seeing it. So it's a thing. It is with the help of our ground folks in Delhi and in the provinces that we are able to get all this information and then make a decision on what needs to go where.
Vinodji, can I just supplement?
Yes, General Singh, go ahead.
What we are doing now is, yes, rest of the country, they have been able to control, but we still have a very, very high infection rate. Okay, one will be surprised to know, like yesterday, we have, out of some 6,000 people being tested, the positive cases were almost to the tune of about 700, 800. So the infection rate in my state is still very high. And still what we have done is, with the concentrators which have given it to us, wherever we find that the cases have eased up, we have either transferred it to another place which is required, or we have taken contact numbers of various people and we are collecting back the oxygen concentrators from temporary COVID care centers whenever the number of the beds or number of the patients decrease. With this, we intend opening up a oxygen bank in the Seva Bharati itself. So anyone, like you said, those which was brought out that which this will be given to the home isolation and other things. And another problem which I face for us in the if there is a next pandemic is the problem of cremation. Okay. Now we had a lot of problem. In fact, people could not pay for cremation, and in Manipur, it costs about 15,000 rupees. In fact, 15,000 is what the government has fixed the rate, which the government will be paying. But it comes out to about 250 Canadian dollars. I'll put it this way, with whatever we have to put in. So what I foresee is if there is a third wave, cremation is going to be a major problem. Another problem which we faced during this time was while the COVID care centers were functioning, being a poor state, we cannot feed the patients. Okay, the patients had to feed either themselves or through some donor, or their relative had to bring food and other things. In fact, I have friends whom I lost. Their job was to get food from the home and give it to the patients, because these COVID care centers are purely absolutely temporary. You would have seen the photographs of our presentation. They were in ad hoc buildings, school buildings, which are not, when I say building, it was not a concrete building, it was a CGI roof building and all those things. So it was quite problematic, and the problem of the food still persists. But however, with the other donors and with local help and others, we are managing it. So what I find is, I do not know how much will be the threat next time, but definitely the problem of food and cremation may be a problem next time too. And of course, the problem of ambulance for carrying both the patient and also the dead bodies.
Yes.
There was a lot of problem we face. We face a lot of problem,
Yes.
and especially going to the hill areas and other things. It was definitely a challenge, and this challenge perhaps will remain, though we are trying to find out a solution. A lot of people have donated a lot of ambulances, and you'll be surprised, in my state, the dead bodies are either carried in an ordinary vehicle or in the ambulance itself, because of the lack of this dead body carrying vehicles. Okay, this is what I wanted to add. Thank you very much.
Yes, and just for the benefit of others, ambulances, like you said, has come up. Also, mobile crematoriums. So we're spending some money on, other organizations are putting some money into mobile crematoriums. That's another area. The one question I got is, and this question is for Narayanji, is black fungus still a big threat as the impact is tapering off?
Yes, it is tapering off, Sanjay ji. But yes, it is a big challenge in Gujarat, particularly. Gujarat is leading in black fungus cases on the top of the table, with more than 3,000 cases so far. And daily it is coming around 200 or something like that. But it has tapered down. Many surgeries are done. But when we had an internal meeting and I had asked doctors from civil hospital of Corona bed hospital, 12-minute bed hospital, I asked the same question. Why maximum cases of black fungus in Gujarat? So he mentioned that due to diabetic patients, Gujarat is a diabetic hub for the diabetic patients. So with diabetes, this black fungus spread faster. And yes, doctors were doing trial and error. So up to some extent, they have given more quantum of steroids than the required amount to the COVID patients, and they had a diabetes. So due to that, this black fungus has spread more in Gujarat. Delhi was second number, but these two states we had a bigger problem. But now it is tapering down. Now it's tapering down.
And I think follow-up question from Sanjay is that is government support available now?
Yes,
black
yes.
fungus.
Government support is always there. Always there. They have provided a separate ward for this black fungus. Separate wards, like with the capacity of approximately 200 beds. Out of 1,200 beds, 200 beds were exclusively for this type of cases. And daily they were performing 12 to 15 surgeries round the clock. Because nose, eyes, ears, jaws, these parts were affected more. So they had to remove jaws or remove eye or remove some part of nose. So this type of surgeries were required. So they were doing this, and round the clock surgery was going on. And because they were COVID patients, so they cannot provide all the operations theater for this type of black fungus patient. So they had some isolated theaters also for that. And specialized ENT surgeons were doing that. And our Prant Sahakaryavahi is Dr. Sunil Borisa. He himself is an ENT person, surgeon, medical person. So he was monitoring all these things personally.
Very good. And are there? Have you got to know any Ayurvedic products that are can act as supplements?
Yeah, Ayush 64. Ayush 64 is developed in India for this pandemic situation to the COVID patients, and it reduces hospitalization time from 10 days to approximately 5 to 7 days. So there is a benefit of 3 to 5 days of hospitalization. Along with allopathy medicines, this Ayurvedic hospital aids to recover faster. So Ayush 64 is distributed by government.
Okay. So final question, and this was received before, and this may be both to Dr. Singh and Narayanji.
Yes.
Would you like in the near future to invite volunteers for internship in your respective states, Manipur and Gujarat, and to experience the ground reality and how the support work is carried out?
Yes, as far as Gujarat is concerned, yes, we will welcome them. But let us pray that this type of situation doesn't arise. First thing is that
Yes.
the situation should not arise like that. But yes, if it is there, we will definitely welcome the volunteers, and we will provide them field experience. So first-hand experience they can get. So most welcome anytime if situation arises.
Yes.
But let us all pray together that situation does not arise.
General Singh?
Yes, everyone is most welcome. But I must explain the social life in Manipur. Okay, it's unlike other places. It's a rural-based area. When we talk about the urban Imphal itself, people go up to sleep by about 7 to 8 o'clock in the evening. That is the and we get up by about India time about 4:30. Like I get up almost at 4:15 every day. So that is the life in here. So how do we manage our things? We have a number of CSOs, we call it civil society organizations. These are very, very powerful. They are more, they're as powerful as, I will put it this way, those who are running the system. The system can be paralyzed by them. In fact, like a rural area, any other rural area where the people have to depend on the CSOs, it is more or less like the panchayat system as we have in other parts of the country. But the only difference is they're very, very powerful. And these CSOs provide volunteers. They are the ones who are running all these COVID care centers. Okay. The COVID care centers are run by these CSOs. They're the one to whom we give the things. We take their help. And secondly, we have another problem of, we have a problem of inner line permit. Okay. There is a thing which one has to understand that in our state, it's not a major thing. Anyone coming for COVID help can this thing. He can be accommodated in Seva Bharati. And that language is another issue. Language is another issue in my state. People prefer to speak in the local language only. But however, it is not that people are not welcome. A lot of people have come, visited, gone. So it is not a major issue. And I will again extend my welcome to anyone who wants to come to Manipur and carry out this social work. He is most welcome.
Again, namaste. Thank you for taking the time. And General Singh, so it's almost lunchtime for you. We're getting up at 4 o'clock. So, and thank you again for all the work, and look forward to meeting you all one day when all this is over. And thank you. And back to Shefali.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining today. We hope it was useful to you and you learned something. And if you want to keep up with the work that Seva Canada is doing, feel free to go on the website, sevacanada.com, and the Facebook page, Seva Canada as well. And there definitely will be more meetings like this to update you on what is going on and all the progress that is happening in India. So namaste, and thank you again to all our partners, everybody who presented, and our speakers.
Namaste. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for
Thank you all.
providing us the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Vinodji. Special thanks to you, Vinodji.
Thank you.
And Sanjay ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Yeah.